tuned into the greatest sports show on the planet. That's Prince, and he's Bardi. And you're now listening to Prince and Bardi. Buckle up.
Yes, sir. Prince and Bardi, we are back, man. Episode 106. We appreciate you for tuning in to 105. Great feedback. But let's get right into it, man. We got to start off with Ringside with Prince.
Are you ready? It's time for Ringside Rundown with Prince. Discussing the biggest fights, post-fight reactions, and the latest news in the world of boxing and MMA.
Devontae Adams, man. I know that's your guy. You know, I know you called him Baby Mike Tyson a while back. You know, a lot of memes. I know our guy Boston is going crazy with it, man. So for those who don't know, he lost. Well, he didn't lose. It was a tie, a draw with Lamont Roach, man, another Baltimore native. During the fight, they was throwing haymakers, man. They definitely delivered. They've been fighting each other since they were kids, man. You know, Lamont Roach was on a Breakfast Club talking cash. He backed it up, man. I know a lot of viral clips are going around with Nick Young. He's saying you can't kill a roach, man. He said Nick Young is wild.
Facts.
Yeah,
You know, the crazy thing about the fight that blows my mind is the $250,000 bet.
Yeah.
The fact that he made the bet. Then the second thing is that if anybody listened to our last show, we were talking about that, how pound for pound it's between him, Canelo, and Bud. But after what I saw Saturday night, it's between Bud and Canelo. And I'm not knocking Devontae. Tank is a beast. He's a beast. But I think he underestimated Roach. And we all know that Be More natives, man, if coming up in certain cities you come up in, Baltimore, New York, Philly, you're fighting your brothers.
Chicago.
Definitely Chi-Town.
Yeah.
You're fighting your brothers. You're fighting everybody in the hood. I mean, you got to fight for respect in these hoods. So Roach came out there, and I ain't even going to lie. He earned my respect. He definitely needs his flowers. But the question I asked you, because, of course, we saw what Boston talked about, was that a knockdown?
I think so, man. I think he looked like he was looking like Colin Kaepernick out there, man. You know what it is, man? I think just in history, right, when you look at, and that's why I know 50 Cent always clown Floyd as far as him can't read or whatever the case may be, but Floyd is undefeated, where I look at it like a basketball player. The game plan every day is to stop Jordan, stop Kobe, stop LeBron, and these dudes continue to get their average, as you say, every time. So we know Devontae's. I'm gonna hold this. Hey, you win, you lose, but Floyd never lost, right? And I think a lot of people envy Floyd for never losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't underestimate your opponent. I think Floyd will talk. He'll talk, but he never sleeps. He always finishes the job. Yo, this is the first person to go 12 rounds with Tank. Like, so this is, I think Tank is going to take this as a humbling experience. He says if it was up to him, he would get the rematch, but he has other stuff that he wants to do. I don't know what the other surprise fight he's trying to do. I don't know if it's Shakur. I don't know what it is. But I think the mystique of Tank has been hit.
Mm.
You know, like we called him Baby Tyson, and now it's like, hold on. So all the dude got to do is come in prepared and just have heart.
When you look at the Ryan Garcia fight with Tank, if Ryan just protects his body, that fight goes the distance too.
Yeah, man.
So we know he can be. I mean, any fighter can be had. That's the beauty of boxing. We watch greats. Muhammad Ali lost. Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. Everybody has lost. And George Foreman, they've lost. So everybody has a puncher's chance. We saw what Tarver did to Roy Jones. So I love it for boxing because it opens up the door for everybody. But it's going to be interesting going forward. Now, did you see the picture with the Sheik and all the fighters?
I did.
Yeah, man, that to me, I feel like Boxing. Yeah, boxing is back, man.
No,
I shout out to the Sheik. I know some fighters were saying some things about him, but he gets all love for me because he's bringing back the heyday of boxing for me when I truly watched every fight, you know. And boxing has gotten so dull. The Sheik has made everything come back into fruition, so I'm excited.
Nah, for sure. Boxing is back, man. I salute the you know, our boy Roach, Lamont Roach, man, made he's a household name now. You know, who knows how long he's been grinding, man, on the amateur ranks to where he's at now. Salute to him. But you know, we got to get into that Bardi report.
It's the Bardi report.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Where A-Slim Bardi, a.k.a. Bardi, brings you the latest news, rumors, and updates of the NFL.
Deebo Samuel is now a Washington Commander, man. So much going on. Obviously, you know, Shanahan, 49ers, they gave him permission to seek a trade, and they found one, man. So what is Jaden Daniels, Deebo Samuel, and our boy Terry McLaurin? What does that look like, man, in the NFC East? You know, that's our division. What does that do for the Commanders immediately getting Deebo?
You know, the funny thing about the NFC East, if you look the year before, the Cowboys and the Eagles made it. Then you go the year when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs, it was the Giants and the Eagles that made it. So now we had the Skins and the Eagles. I mean, it opens them up offensively, but what we saw, the problem with Washington is Washington's defense is terrible. I mean, besides Luva, Bobby Wagner has more grays in his beard than me. I mean, they have too much problems at the age. They have to fix their defense. If they would have went after Myles Garrett, that was the play. I mean, we saw what Deebo's like when he's not happy. And this organization is not San Francisco. San Francisco may have a down year, but who knows? They may come back and be good. I mean, Ayuk was hurt. So now you leave this organization and you go to the team that made it to the NFC Championship. And, you know, you're thinking, okay, upside, I have a great young quarterback. I have a great coach in Dan Quinn. We have a great future, but you're in the NFC East. And in the NFC East, if the Cowboys are healthy, if the Giants just get a quarterback because they have defense, the argument changes. Every team has pieces because we model off of each other. If you look at the NFC East, everybody models off each other. It started with the Cowboys in the 90s, then the Giants in the 2000s, and the Eagles in the late 2000s, and the Eagles now. Running game and defense, running game and defense. They were supposed to get a running game. They weren't supposed to get a wide receiver. It's great for them. It's great. It's going to be must-see TV. Jaden Daniels may break some type of second-year records for a quarterback because he is very poised in the pocket. But I still stick by what I say. If the Giants pick up the right piece in the draft in the offseason, I think it'd be the Giants because it's always the team that you least expect in the NFC East to be that team to come to the playoffs. Right. So we saw Washington, we saw Dallas. So I think it's between Dallas and the Giants. It's all about the sweepstakes for Myles Garrett. If Cleveland keeps Myles Garrett, then we have a different argument. But
if y'all get him,
yeah. Or if we get him, what's the point? I mean, why are we watching football next year?
Yes.
We'll be the second team to repeat since the Chiefs. So, I mean, I love our chances to win the division, but I still don't like our chances at a repeat because I think the Chiefs are going to make the necessary moves to be back and maybe beat us. But I don't think there's no other team that can beat Philly. But I like it for Washington, but I still think they need to improve on the defense. When you look at the NFC East, only two teams played defense last year, and that was the Giants and the Eagles.
No, facts, man. Let's keep this thing moving, man. Devontae Adams, he got permission from the Jets to seek a trade partner, man. So obviously, you know, Aaron Rodgers brought him in from Vegas. You know, Aaron Rodgers got all his homeboys jobs. I feel like one thing about Aaron Rodgers, you call him whatever, he gonna get his homeboy some jobs, some money. So obviously Adams on the move again. Two-part question. What team do you think could fit his style? And secondly, how much do you think he has in the tank? You know, he's always a great route runner, reliable. Is he heading into that Hopkins territory where you're kind of just trying to find a church home, but it's not really giving what you think it's going to give? So what do you think about Devontae on another team?
Devontae. The thing about Devontae Adams is he's an exceptional route runner. He's actually exceptional with the film too. He knows cornerbacks very well. He was able to solve Surtain his first year, but then of course Surtain now is one of the best head and shoulders corners in the league, so it's a problem for him. Where he should possibly go, when I look at the situation, I probably would like him in Miami. And the only reason why I say Miami because to put him with Cheetah and Waddle will be it's what it was supposed to be with Odell. But Odell could never be that because he had no meniscus in his knees. So even when the Dolphins signed him, I was looking at Stephen Ross and the ownership, and I was just like, why did you sign him when he doesn't have meniscus in his knees? So they should have never picked up Odell. I like the Dolphins as an opportunity because it's a offense that he can excel. And then I also like the Chiefs. He can be the number 2 to Rasheem Rice. The Chiefs need a better receiver because all the guys they got are over the hill. They're injury prone. And Devontae does have a lot in the tank. Devontae still is a top 7 receiver in the NFL. He still is a top 7. Most receivers are not good without a good quarterback. I mean, you put him on a different team. Like, look at Tyreek. One season, he almost broke the wide receiver record. Tua gets hurt, and look at his numbers this year. So you have to have a quarterback that can get you the ball. And Aaron Rodgers is over the hill, plus the Jets' offense just never fit how they play. So he needs to go to a system that's more like Green Bay. I mean, he could go back to the Packers. That would be a good idea, too, because he understands the system because he's played for that coach. But I look at the Dolphins, I look at the Chiefs, and you know who else is a dark horse? The Buffalo Bills. Because that's what Josh Allen would need to get over the hump.
No, 100%. I think if they don't find a trade partner, they're going to release him. So I think either way, it's going to be in Adams' court. But let's switch gears to the NFL Combine, man. Man, a lot of athleticism. I don't know if you've been watching over the last couple of days. I'm going to just read something for you, man. These 40 yards dash times. So the fastest DB ran a 4.28. The 10th fastest ran a 4.4. So we go 4.2, 4.3, 4.3, 4.3, 4.3. 4.4 was the slowest time, and that was 10th. So that kind of shows you the athleticism, man, coming into the league. You can even look at the running backs. 4.3, 4.4 is the slowest running back. Wide receivers, 4.4 is the slowest receiver. Is this the most athletic class of combine participants in the last 5 years? You already know about Worthy last year. Worthy, when he ran a 4.1, 4.2. Mm-hmm. So it's just I'm not saying the skill set. We're talking straight athleticism. What are you saying about the guys coming out in today's NFL?
Well, the athleticism is going to be crazy because you got a player who's coming who can play 2 sides of the ball. So, we haven't seen that since Prime, since Bo Jackson. So when we look at these types of players, it's good to see. It's good to see Travis Hunter and all these other guys who are coming out of the draft. Last year was pretty athletic too, because there were a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball, and I mean, you just seen what they can do. But this year, I probably would say it's up there. I don't know if it's the best as far as athleticism, but I will say it's the best as far as speed. The 40 times was ridiculous. We haven't seen that many in one draft. And I mean, that just goes to show, I mean, in every sport, the more time goes, the players are better. Technology makes them better. They're building their bodies up. I saw one young man, he broke the bench press record. I think he did it, 50 times? He did 50 reps. It was crazy. And he went straight doing 50 reps. He broke the combine record. So, I mean, you look at what we have this year. I mean, it's going to be a great draft. I just want to see where it's a few people who I got that kind of concerns me. They're talking about Shador's going to go second round, which I think he should be the latter half of the first round. The number 1 pick is going to have a surgery, which I don't think that after the surgery, he's going to be as good as he is after the surgery. So I don't think he should go as high. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think that I would pick for these teams a quarterback in the top 5 picks because a lot of these teams need QBs. Uh, it would be good to get Cam Ward out of there real quickly, but we'll see what happens.
I'm hearing that Hunter might come to the Giants, man. On Mel Kiper, so like it's changing. I would love Hunter, but they're saying this is going to be a big running back class, where a lot of these running backs are going to be all pro type players. Now, so it made me think. We just had on one of our last shows, is the running back market back? This will kill the running back market because like I know, you get a running back for 2-3 years, get them on the cheap. They're gonna run hard for you, then get them out of here. The running back market, they use you, man. They ride that horse. Once you no more, you up out of here. So what do you think about kind of what the running back, if they're saying that this class is going to be as good as it is, that doesn't help the running back market at all.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The way the NFL is, it's funny because the reason why I guess the market is getting bigger is because they saw what Baltimore and Philly did. But they don't realize it's not the running back that makes the market. It's Baltimore went and got offensive linemen to block for them. Philly went and got, when we talk about it all the time. The Chiefs have every better position than the Eagles. I won't say every better, but most better positions. But the Eagles have the best offense and defensive line in football. And that's what caused Patrick Mahomes to run around. So you have to address the need of that. Any team. When the Giants went to the playoffs, they had a good running line. They had a good offensive line. We saw Danny Dimes almost ran for 1,000 yards. Danny Dimes, who's the backup in Minnesota. So it's the offensive line. If you get a good offensive line, it doesn't matter what running back you throw back there, he's going to get yardage, And so there are great running backs in the draft, but where are you going to go? You need to go to a system that would fit you, and you need to be on a team that needs a running back. And when we look at a lot of teams, most teams have running backs that just don't have offensive lines. So even when these guys get drafted, the only team that I think that would be great for the running backs is the Cowboys, because the Cowboys have an offensive line. They can block for the run, but they can't block for the pass.
Historically too. Yeah. All right, let's switch gears. Get to the hardwood, man.
Holding court with Prince. Our resident NBA guru, Prince, dives into all things basketball.
Fades into a 3. Got it! Hurry!
The Phoenix Suns, man. So much surrounding them. Is KD going to get traded? Is he not going to get traded? But obviously they underachieved all year. Some people had them in the top 5 in the league, but they 11th or 12th in the West, man. So couple things. Recently, Budenholzer told Devin Booker to tone it down. I guess he was communicating too much and kind of overshadowing him and the other coaches. I personally think Budenholzer is going to lose his job soon. I'm just waiting for Shams to have that breaking news graphic so we can post it on a Prince and Bardi IG. But what do you think about the disaster of what the Suns is? KD playing at an all-time level as usual, 27 a game. But they just trash, man. They just can't get it together. Bradley Beal, no trade clause. What's going on with the Suns, man?
It's funny, man. If you put the right piece with the right player, the player looks different. When he was with Steph, he was the best player in the league. LeBron is with Luka. Look at the Lakers now. It's a different organization. When you let KD be the GM, your team is terrible. And I'm not saying he is the GM, but when he has some type of insight on the team, I don't think it is. When it was Steph's team, you won. I think that KD, I think that Booker and Budenholzer, the Suns are not a winning organization, period. We're talking about the last time, of course, they were in the finals versus the Bucks, but when they legitimately had a shot, because I didn't think they had a shot versus, and I'm not saying they had a shot versus Jordan, but it was a respectable final. That was Jordan's probably hardest final, was Charles Barkley, because 56, 64, 63, you saw they were going back and forth. KD's career right now, he's going to always put numbers up. He's probably one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. But that team, it looks good on paper, but you know much as I do. We went to the basketball court. All the studs be on one team. It's only one ball. You have to figure out how to move the ball. And these guys are not a prototypical offensive setup player. They don't have I mean, Tyus Jones is a good point guard, but he's not going to lead those guys because you want a point guard you respect. In Boston, they respected Rajon. In LA, they respected Chris Paul. You know, you respect the floor general. And so there's no clear-cut floor general. Budenholzer doesn't have the hold of the team. And it just looks like a whole bunch of people shooting the basketball. And they keep dropping down in the West. So he's definitely going to get fired. We're just waiting for the date for it. And KD needs to figure out where he's going to go. He's not going to win on this particular team. And he can't go to Golden State now because Golden State found that small forward they wanted in Jimmy. So, I mean, he's in trouble just as much as Kawhi's in trouble.
For sure. But, you know, a bright spot, Ball, your boy finally getting a shot. The baby Wemby, baby Chet Holmgren. So he's productive, man. I feel like they should have put Ball in a long time ago. What you got to lose? Y'all not going to the playoffs. So salute the Ball getting numbers. But let's talk about your boy, man. The process is once again still in progress. Embiid has been shut down by the Sixers for the remainder of the season. Podcast P has shut down his podcast. What's going on in Philly, man? Hey, I'm just happy. I'm just happy because you know y'all Philly fans move different, man. I'm just happy y'all won the Super Bowl, so everybody's calm on that front. But as far as on the basketball floor, y'all in shambles, man. So what's next for Philly, man? I know they're requesting a medical retirement for a medical leave for Embiid. It's serious, man. They really do not know what's up with this guy's knees. And how do you cut your losses? You overpay for Paul George, like we talked about last show. You got a young star in Maxey. What do you do if you're Philly, man? Daryl Morey looking like an idiot again. He got to lose his job. Like, I mean, at this point. So what's new in Philly, man? Brotherly love is not getting no love.
Daryl Morey is still winning. He still has a resume off of past wars with Houston. And so they're thinking that that's something that can keep going, but it's not at Philly. Paul George was a stupid sign because he hasn't been healthy. Embiid is, I mean, if I was the owner, if I could cut him or release him, I would. There's just no point in keeping Embiid because even if he plays next year, he's going to be hurt the year after that. As you watch him, it's like some players, I wonder when you gave them that check, what are they doing with the money? Because you watch Michael, he paid Grover. Kobe paid Grover. I mean, they knew they needed to work out. LeBron spends $1 million on his body. You're playing 82 games a year. And then you want, like, the highlight of his career is an MVP and an Olympic gold medal. With all the talent, I mean, at one point, they were comparing him, Prince, to Akeem Olajuwon. And me and you, both of us, like, stop it. So when you look at it, Philly doesn't know what they're doing. They're in shambles. It's funny because you can tell because even though Morey is a big name, he's running the organization into the ground. As a GM, he's failing. As a superstar, Embiid is failing. As a head coach, they brought in some coaches in there, and it doesn't make a difference. Whoever coaches the team, Nick Nurse was there. Doc was there at one time. Like, who can coach the Philly? And I mean, the only bright spot is Maxey, and of course Quentin Grimes, what he did versus the Warriors the other night. But Philly, man. I mean, Philly is to me the laughing stock of the NBA. If you want my opinion, they're just a laughing stock. It's nothing we can do over there.
Yeah, them and the Suns. I just think like Morey just messed up. First of all, you let this man play in the Olympics. He's spit in your face, right? You gave Embiid an extension knowing he was hurt. They didn't have to pay him that money. Like, so they voluntarily gave him that money. So, man, I don't know. Paul George just got overpaid. The man shutting down his podcast, thinking that's gonna help him get to it on the court. I don't know, man. Let's move along to your boy Ant Edwards, man. Ant Edwards is Turn into Rasheed Wallace, man. This man got more text than Rasheed, man. Other day he got suspended. You know, a lot of talk with LeBron and telling like, hey, Ant don't want to be the face or what comes with it. What do you think about Ant Edwards? And, you know, we love him being a Georgia boy, telling it like it is, but at what point do you got to kind of be a professional and not hurt your team?
Ant's not a leader, man. Ant is more along the lines of a scoring star. So when you look at Ant, you know who Ant might, I can't say he's Melo because Melo wasn't in that much trouble. Maybe a rich man's Rasheed Wallace. I mean, not Rasheed Wallace, I'm sorry, Latrell Sprewell. A rich man's Latrell Sprewell. He can score with the best of them. He's one of the best scorers in the league. He's probably maybe the best two guard, or there's an argument of the two guards in the league, but his head is not on tight. Some of the things he says doesn't make any sense. You watch the team and the organization was stupid for trading Cat. You've seen who Julius Randle is. Julius Randle is another version of Embiid where he can't stay on the court. Minnesota's a cursed franchise, man. When you look at the players that they've had, Kevin Garnett, Kevin Love,
Wally Zerbiak.
Wally Zerbiak. You funny dude, man. And you made me say it. I was sitting there saying, wait, Wally Zerbiak, he's a bum. But no disrespect, Wally, but we just called it out. We see it. We can't forget Jimmy was there at one time. Yep. So they've had some potential pieces, but they just could never take it over the hump. And so they draft Ant, and you thinking Ant is the heir apparent. They're talking about he's the face of the NBA. They're talking about, he's the next Jordan. You ever notice this one thing? This is the funniest thing in the world. You notice anytime you say someone is the next Jordan, it's like it's a curse. Something happens to them.
Everybody.
I mean, the only people who ever stood up to the hype was Bron and Cole. That's it. But we understand that they're cut from a different cloth. Of course, they didn't win 6 championships, but they wore the mantle the way they were supposed to wear the mantle as far as winning, as far as 4 or 5 championships, as far as scoring titles, or they're the only ones that have multiple defensive players of the year or do something close to what Michael did. So once they slapped that Michael Jordan on him, from there, it's just like he went downhill. It's like they put a virus on his computer.
So I feel you, man. But, obviously the playoffs, everything's going to heat up. Standings are very tight. So let's look at the East Coast, man. What team and player are you looking at?
In the East, you know what, man? I'm not trying to sound like the top teams, but I'm looking at the Celtics and Jason Tatum because JT don't get no respect, man. I don't understand it. To me, it's disrespectful. He won a championship. Yes, Jaylen Brown was the MVP, but look at his numbers across the board for the year. I mean, to me, I look at it like I look at Steph Curry. Despite what Steph still is the engine for that team, as Jason Tatum is. We can say Brown is this and Brown is that, and Brown plays defense, but Brown is a mixture of Clay and Draymond of that team, but everything runs through Jason Tatum. So why does he get the respect he deserves? I think he deserves more respect. The disrespect on the Olympics was atrocious. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree. I was seeing KG and Paul Pierce podcast, and Paul Pierce had a great point. He was basically saying, like, it's because he plays for Boston. Imagine Jason Tatum play for the Lakers. Oh my God. He would be in every commercial. If Jason Tatum played for the Knicks, I think it's ingrained to hate Boston, whether it's the Patriots or whether it's the Celtics. Imagine if Paul Pierce was hooping like that and played for the Knicks. We would have Paul Pierce in our top 12.
True.
Right? You know what I mean?
That is true.
Same thing with Larry Bird. We loved Larry Bird, took our respect. He didn't get it. He came, was like, I'm the baddest MFer out here. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's truth in that too. But Because listen, man, a lot of people got a boring game. Tim Duncan game is boring, but you never gonna say a power forward is better than him.
Of course not.
So like I can't use that as the excuse that people try to say, oh, he don't got no aura. And Shea got aura, but he gonna be out probably second round. Like, let's keep it real. And that brings us to my other point, man, where I love what Cleveland's doing. You know, they came back against Boston, looked amazing. I love what SGA is doing, but deep down, you've been watching this game for 30 plus years, right? Deep down, do you see SGA or Donovan Mitchell winning the title, hosting that trophy up, that Larry O.B. trophy up? Close your eyes. Do you see one of them holding that trophy up?
The biggest problem is the market. Then the second biggest problem is the star power. Shea is not LeBron James. Donovan Mitchell is not Kobe Bryant. We've watched them have big games, but that's not who they are. And so if that's not who they are, you know, your expectations, your level of expectations for them is not the same. And in the markets that they're playing, OKC is such a small market. Cleveland, they've only had one championship, and because the best player or, you know, the person who has the most ratings in basketball was there. In some way, I don't think Garland is going to be able to do what he needs to do in the postseason because he may choke. I think Spider may choke. I don't think SGA is going to choke. I think his team around him will choke. The Williams, the Dorts, the Chet Holmgrens, all these guys are going to choke versus a certain team because somebody has to guard LeBron, somebody has to guard Luka, somebody has to guard Joker, somebody has to guard Jamal Murray. All these guys have a playoff resume. Even Luka, he may not have won a championship, but he's been to 2 conference finals. He's been to 1 final. So he has a playoff resume. And so when you have a playoff resume, you know where to take it, especially in a 7-game series. 7-game series is not how much the team, I mean, it is how much the team can score, but how much can the team defend? And I don't think that they can stop them in the half court. And so that's the issue for both teams. So no, we don't see any one of those teams hosting the Larry O.B. I mean, we probably might have a Lakers Boston finals. I really think that's what we're going to see this year.
I agree, man, and I hate to admit it because I think now this is the year. You know, you only got a certain amount of window for them to pay attention to you. I think all eyes are on Shea. He's going to get that MVP, but now going forward in his career is okay. But now you got to win. You know, just like we did to Harden, just like because I think he's going to be. I think it's 2 people that are going to become Harden, and that's SGA and Luka. Where even though Harden been to a finals, but he wasn't the main leader of that OKC team. But MVPs are cool. You got to win now. You know what I mean? So I think if the Cavs don't win, nobody would be shocked. You'd be like, okay. Everybody's just shocked they're doing so well. But as far as SGA, number 1 team, averaging 32. At some point, you know, a lot of these guys, Sam Presti, OKC, you got all these picks. You got to win now, man. You can't get credit for drafting well. You got to, like Stephen A. said, you got to start winning.
Prince and Bardi is your number 1 source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes.
I got a question for you, man. Rank 1 through 5 real quick. 1 through 5. I'm going to throw 5 small forwards at you, and I just want your opinion. We're going to rank 1 through 5. So at number 1, we have JT. We have Tracy McGrady because he's played the 3 as well. We have Glenn Dog Robinson. We have Jalen Rose, and then finally we have Glenn Rice. Because I think JT doesn't get the respect. So where would JT rank amongst those 5?
We just talk about just hoopers, not accomplishments. We're just talking about like as a basketball player.
As a basketball player, exactly. Not accomplishments, just sheer eye test and talent.
I'm gonna go T-Mac 1, JT 2, Big Dog 3, Glenn Rice 4, and Jalen Rose 5. And I'm not gonna lie, Glenn Rice is low-key one of my favorite players because he used to get Glenn Rice, boy. Listen, young folks, if you don't know about Glenn Rice, man, My God, he was a bucket. And remember, imagine if Glenn Rice was able to shoot 11 threes a game in the modern game. Like those guys are shooting 2 threes a game, like tops.
And people don't realize a lot of the teams that Glenn Rice played on, he wasn't the number one threat. Miami, they had Cycli, he wasn't number one. On Charlotte, he was there a little bit when Alonzo was there and LJ, so he wasn't getting the number one touches. Lakers, when he won the championship, he was there with Kobe and Shaq. So how is he really going to get all these touches? Which just shows the greatness of Glenn Rice.
Not for sure. That's a great question, man. But other dope news, Pete Rose, man, they finally going to lift the ban. They said they considering it, but it's like, come on, man, enough is enough. Pete Rose passed, man. Let this man legacy live on, man. He one of the greatest hitters. Listen, but you know what's wild though? So it's almost like somebody who's in prison for a nickel bag of weed, right? So you locked up at that time. That was the law. But now it's dispensaries on every corner. Cure Leaf, True Leaf. Same thing with bet. I'm not condoning you betting while you playing, but DraftKings, ESPN Bet, Hard Rock Bet, I think it's just it's a contradiction, man. I'm not here to be the moral police. You just got to look at somebody's body of work. Did he move the sport forward or did he not? So what do you think about them letting Uncle Pete finally in? They thinking about it at least.
Pete should have been in a long time. I think Pete Rose is probably in the history of baseball. I think he's a top 5 player all time, by far. You can name pitchers, you can name hitters. I mean, this man has over 2,000 hits or something like that. This is just crazy. So you look at all. Yeah, I mean, he is so great to the game of baseball. We wouldn't even know anything about the Reds if it wasn't for him. He put the Reds on the map. Yeah, he gambled, but I mean, listen, if you don't get caught, we know people gambling all the time. And we know players gamble. I mean, it is what it is. Michael Jordan gambled all the time. He's in the Hall of Fame. So what's the difference? We're talking about basically the biggest name in sports history, which everybody says is Michael Jordan, most except for, the people on my side. But everybody says Jordan is the greatest, and we're not talking about Jordan like that. His legacy isn't tainted, but this guy's legacy is tainted. I mean, we've heard stories that Michael, we're not going to go down that path, but what happened to family was behind gambling debts and what he did in gambling. So why is he in the Hall of Fame? But of course, basketball is not as strict as baseball, but I just think the old heads of baseball don't understand it. And I think they're disrespecting the game by not putting him in the Hall of Fame. You have to for what he's done for the game. To me, it's asinine. It's just terrible. It's definitely terrible.
I agree, man. I mean, what's right is right, but I wish he was alive to see it. You know what I mean? You could just see the pain in his face and his voice of a terrible regret of what he did, but everybody kind of want to see their name enshrined amongst those greats, man.
Prince and Bardi is your number one source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes. Prince and Bardi will be doing live broadcast at several locations around the country. Follow and like all Prince and Bardi's social media pages for exclusive details. There will be game tournaments, sport trivia, best fan contest, and cash giveaways all night. This can be your chance to win big.